Okay, so yesterday, I spent 45 minutes writing a text message.
How long was the message?
11 words.
11 words, Chris.
11 words. I wrote it, deleted it, rewrote it, changed the tone, added an emoji, removed the emoji, wondered if removing the emoji made it seem cold, added it back,
And then?
and then I just didn't send it.
Of course you didn't.
Hey everyone, I'm Michelle. Wait, no, that's your line.
It really is. Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle. Welcome back to Daily English Listening Podcast. So happy you're here.
And I'm Chris, and today we are talking about overthinking, what it is, why we do it, why we can't seem to stop, and what actually helps. This one is going to feel very, very familiar,
Uncomfortably familiar for most people.
including us, clearly.
Okay, so let's stay with that text message for a second because I think it perfectly shows what overthinking actually looks like in real life.
It wasn't even an important message. It was just, hey, are we still on for Saturday?
That's it?
That's it. But my brain turned it into this whole production. What if it sounds too casual? What if they think I'm being pushy? What if they already forgot and now I'm reminding them and that's annoying?
You built 5 different scenarios around are we still on for Saturday?
None of which happened, by the way.
None of them ever do.
And yet the brain keeps doing it.
Because that's exactly the pattern of overthinking. You have a thought, and instead of letting it pass, you grab it and start spinning it.
Around and around.
You think it, then you repeat it, then you imagine what could go wrong, then you doubt your original thought, then you go back to the beginning and think it again.
A loop with no exit.
And the exhausting part is that the loop feels productive, like you're doing something useful.
Like you're preparing, being thorough.
But you're not actually getting anywhere. You're just using a lot of energy to stay in the same place.
Okay, I need everyone listening right now to drop a comment. Tell us the most ridiculous thing you've ever overthought. A text message, a decision, something someone said 3 years ago that you're still analyzing?
3 years ago, that's a specific number.
I may have personal experience with the 3-year time frame.
We all do. Drop it in the comments because honestly, knowing other people do this too is half the relief.
The other half is this episode, hopefully.
Hopefully. Okay, so why does this happen? Because it's not random. There are real reasons the brain gets stuck in these loops.
The first big one, the need to control.
Right. A lot of overthinking comes from wanting to predict every possible outcome before you do anything.
If I think about it enough, I can make sure nothing goes wrong.
Which sounds logical but isn't, because you can never think your way to certainty.
You can think forever and there will always be one more scenario you haven't considered.
Always. And the brain knows that, so it keeps looking.
It's trying to find an answer that doesn't exist.
And that search is exhausting and endless.
So the need for control is actually what keeps you stuck, not what protects you.
Exactly. The tighter you try to hold the outcome, the more anxious you get.
Which leads to more thinking.
More thinking, more scenarios, more doubt. The loop gets faster.
Okay, what's the second reason?
Fear of making the wrong decision, and this one is huge.
Because we've been trained, in school, at work, everywhere, that there is a right answer and a wrong answer.
And the wrong answer has consequences.
So you keep analyzing, trying to find the best option, the one you can't regret later.
But most decisions in real life don't have a perfect answer. They have a few reasonable options, and you pick one, and you figure the rest out as you go.
Which is terrifying if you're an overthinker.
Because figure it out as you go feels irresponsible. Like flying without a safety net.
But the safety net of overthinking is an illusion. It doesn't actually protect you from anything.
It just delays the decision, and while you're delaying, time is passing.
And the thing you were going to do isn't getting done.
That's the real cost, not the thinking itself, the paralysis that comes with it.
Okay, let's talk about something that I think is the most relatable version of overthinking, the post-conversation replay.
Oh no.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I do, and I hate it.
The conversation is over, it went fine, and then 3 hours later in bed, your brain starts the highlight reel.
Wait, why did I say it like that?
Did that come across wrong?
I should have said this instead.
What did they mean when they paused before answering?
The pause. The pause analysis is its own advanced level of overthinking.
Masterclass in reading into nothing.
And the thing is, the other person has completely forgotten the conversation by now.
They're asleep. They're thinking about what they want for breakfast.
They're absolutely not replaying your exact word choice from 5 hours ago.
But your brain is running a full forensic analysis,
Forensic, that's the right word.
looking for evidence of a crime that didn't happen.
And this is one of the real costs of overthinking that people don't talk about enough, the mental exhaustion.
Because you're thinking all day, not just about real problems, about conversations, about decisions, about things that already happened and can't be changed.
By the time you actually need to think clearly to solve a real problem, you're already drained.
Your mental battery is at 15%.
And you wonder why you can't focus.
It's not that you're bad at focusing, it's that you've been using focus on things that didn't need it.
That's such an important reframe. You're not broken, you're just spending mental energy in the wrong places.
Okay, I want to introduce something here because I think it's the most useful thing in this whole conversation.
Go ahead.
Thinking more does not equal deciding better.
Say it louder.
Thinking more does not equal deciding better. There's actually research showing that above a certain point, more information and more analysis leads to worse decisions, not better ones.
Because you start second-guessing things you already knew. You introduce doubt where there wasn't any.
And you lose touch with your instinct, which is often pretty good.
Our first instinct is usually more reliable than we give it credit for.
And overthinking specifically works to silence that instinct.
It buries it under 17 layers of "but what if?"
So the more you overthink, the less access you have to the part of your brain that actually knows what to do.
That is genuinely unsettling.
A little bit, but also useful to know.
Because it means trusting yourself more, not less, is actually the smarter move.
Your gut isn't your enemy. The endless loop is the enemy.
Okay, let's talk about what actually helps. And I want to be very clear, we are not saying just stop thinking.
If that worked, nobody would overthink.
Nobody. The brain doesn't respond well to stop doing that.
It's like telling someone don't think about a pink elephant.
Now you're thinking about a pink elephant.
Immediately, the moment you say don't think about something, there it is.
So the approach isn't suppression, it's redirection.
Give the brain something else to do.
And one of the most effective things is action, even a tiny one.
Because action breaks the loop. The loop exists in your head. Action moves you into the real world.
And in the real world, you get actual information instead of imagined information.
What if I send this message and they react badly? Versus you send it and they say, sure, Saturday works.
Reality is almost always less dramatic than the scenario in your head.
Almost always. Your brain writes the worst possible version. Real life usually writes something much more boring.
Boring is underrated.
Boring is a gift. I would love more boring outcomes.
Another thing that helps, time limits on decisions.
Oh, this one changed my life a little.
Really? Tell me.
So I started giving myself a deadline for small decisions, like I have 2 minutes to decide what to order. 2 minutes. Timer goes.
And
Somehow, knowing I only have 2 minutes makes it easier. My brain stops looking for the perfect option and just picks a reasonable one.
because the window is closed.
The window is closed. Decision made. Move on.
And the quality of those decisions?
Basically the same as when I spent 20 minutes deciding. Sometimes better because I went with my first instinct.
Which brings us back to what we said earlier. More thinking doesn't mean better deciding.
The 2-minute order has never been worse than the 20-minute one.
That is both funny and kind of profound.
It really is. Okay, one more thing that I think is underrated for overthinkers.
What's that?
Accepting uncertainty is just part of life, not a problem to be solved.
Oh, that one's hard.
Really hard, because overthinkers specifically are trying to eliminate uncertainty through thinking.
But uncertainty can't be eliminated. It can only be accepted or fought.
And fighting it exhausts you without actually reducing it.
Whereas accepting it, I don't know exactly how this will go, and that's okay, actually frees up energy.
Energy you can use to just do the thing,
Act first, adjust as you go.
which sounds reckless to an overthinker.
It sounds absolutely terrifying.
But in practice, it's just normal. It's how most things actually get done.
Nobody has perfect information before they start. They just start.
And figure it out along the way.
And most of the time, it works out fine.
And when it doesn't, you deal with it then, with actual information, not imagined worst-case scenarios.
Real problems are so much easier to deal with than imaginary ones.
Because real problems are finite, imaginary problems are infinite.
Your brain can generate worst-case scenarios forever. Real situations end.
That's actually really reassuring.
Isn't it? The thing you're dreading has a shape. The thing in your head doesn't.
Okay, I feel better about everything now.
That's the goal.
Can I add one more thing about the action piece? Because I think people misunderstand what just act means.
Go ahead.
It doesn't mean act recklessly. It doesn't mean don't think at all. It means give yourself a reasonable amount of time to think and then move.
There's a difference between useful thinking and spinning.
Useful thinking gets you somewhere. It narrows options, it identifies real risks, it helps you prepare.
Spinning just keeps you in the same place, feeling worse and worse about being there.
So the question to ask yourself is, am I thinking about this in a way that's actually helping me decide, or am I just going in circles?
And if you've been thinking about the same thing for more than, let's say, 20 minutes without getting any closer to a decision,
You're probably spinning.
you're probably spinning. And at that point, the most useful thing is to just pick the most reasonable option available and go.
Not the perfect option, the reasonable one. Perfect options are extremely rare. Reasonable ones are everywhere.
And a reasonable decision made today is almost always better than a perfect decision made never.
That should be on a coffee mug somewhere.
I would buy that mug.
Okay, before we wrap up, I want to come back to something because I think it deserves its own moment.
Go ahead.
The I know I'm overthinking, but I can't stop feeling.
Oh, yes.
Because I think that's the most frustrating version of this. When you have full awareness that you're doing it, you can see yourself doing it, and you still can't get out.
And the awareness almost makes it worse, because now you're thinking about the fact that you're overthinking.
Meta overthinking.
The advanced course.
And you feel like something is wrong with you, like other people don't do this.
They do. They absolutely do. This is one of the most common human experiences there is.
Which somehow makes it less heavy when you know that.
It does. And I think the key thing to say about that moment when you're stuck and you know you're stuck is that you don't need to fix the thinking before you act.
You can act while the thoughts are still happening.
You can send the message while your brain is still analyzing it. You can make the decision while you're still uncertain.
The thoughts don't have to stop first.
They don't. Action doesn't require silence in your head.
That's actually a relief because I was waiting for the silence and it was never coming.
The silence is not coming. Just act anyway.
Act anyway. I'm putting that on a sticky note.
The overthinker's motto.
I genuinely need it. Okay, I want to say one more thing about the act while thinking idea, because I think it sounds simple but feels really hard in practice.
Because the thought is so loud.
It's so loud, it feels like you have to resolve it before you can do anything.
But the thought doesn't actually get quieter by waiting. It gets louder.
The longer you sit with it, the more it fills the space.
Action is what creates the quiet, not more thinking.
Because once you act, once you send the message, make the decision, start the thing, the loop has nothing left to feed on.
The uncertainty collapses into reality, and reality you can actually deal with.
Okay, one final thing, the wild card.
Hit me.
Overthinking is sometimes a sign of caring, about doing things right, about how you come across, about outcomes that matter to you.
That's a different angle.
So it's not entirely a flaw, it comes from a place of wanting things to go well.
The problem is just that it overshoots. It keeps going long after it's useful.
Like a smoke alarm that goes off every time you make toast.
The mechanism isn't broken, it's just too sensitive.
And knowing that makes it easier to be patient with yourself about it.
You're not broken. You just care a lot about a lot of things.
Including 11-word text messages, apparently.
Especially those.
All right, let's spend a moment on some of the expressions and ideas from today that are worth keeping.
Starting with overthink. And it's worth noting this is both a verb and a concept. I'm overthinking this. Stop overthinking. She is an overthinker. In American English, you hear it constantly in casual conversations, in therapy, in social media. It means thinking about something so much that it becomes a problem rather than a solution.
Then loop. In this context, a mental loop is a repetitive thought pattern that keeps cycling without resolution. My brain was stuck in a loop. I couldn't break the loop. Native speakers use this constantly, both for technology and mental patterns. I keep looping back to the same thought.
Paralysis, when overthinking stops you from taking any action at all. Analysis paralysis is a very common phrase in English. It means you analyze something so much you become unable to decide. I fell into analysis paralysis. You'll hear this in business, in personal development, in everyday conversation.
Instinct, your immediate natural reaction before you start analyzing. Trust your instinct. My instinct was right. Go with your gut means the same thing. Gut instinct is very common in American English. It refers to that first feeling you have before the overthinking starts.
Redirect, to change the direction of something. We used it for thoughts. Instead of suppressing an unwanted thought, you redirect your attention to something else. She redirected her energy into action. Try to redirect that thought. Very natural in both casual and professional English.
Uncertainty, the state of not knowing how something will turn out. I'm comfortable with uncertainty. The uncertainty was the hardest part. Overthinkers specifically struggle with uncertainty because they're trying to eliminate it through thinking. Accepting uncertainty is a skill, and it has a name in English: tolerance for ambiguity.
Reassuring, something that makes you feel less worried or more confident. That's reassuring to hear. It was reassuring to know I wasn't alone. You'll use this word constantly when someone says something that reduces your anxiety about something. Very warm, very common.
And spiral, when thoughts get progressively more negative or more intense, each one feeding the next. I started spiraling. Don't let it spiral. This is one of the most common words in modern American English for this experience. She spiraled after reading the message. Once you know this word, you'll hear it everywhere.
These are the words that help you talk about what's happening in your own head, and sometimes just having the language for something makes it feel a little more manageable.
A little less like something only you experience.
And if today's conversation got you thinking about the bigger picture, about what you're actually chasing and whether the mental energy you're spending is going in the right direction, there's an episode right below this one.
It's about not losing yourself while chasing success. The overthinking, the pressure, the constant second-guessing, it all connects. Go find it.
See you there.